The sun never set on Eden Station, a place where shadows lingered in perpetual twilight, and the concept of day and night had long been abandoned. Elsa Craine wiped condensation from her visor and peered into the swirling haze of the planet's atmosphere. Thick, caustic clouds churned overhead, hissing faintly as acidic droplets sizzled against her suit. The air reeked of sulfur, a pungent stench that clawed at her throat even through the helmet's filters, and an ominous hum seemed to emanate from the ground itself, a low vibration that gnawed at her nerves. Beyond the perimeter of the station, a forest of bioluminescent trees glowed faintly, their flickering lights casting eerie shadows across the barren ground. Telemetry still glitching, Elsa muttered into her comms. She tapped at her wrist console, but the readouts were nonsensical. Distance markers looped in an infinite spiral, and the vital signs monitor flickered between normal and flatlining. Someone remind me why we're even out here. Relax, Crane, came the static-filled reply from Captain Idris. His voice was calm, almost too calm. We've got a job to do. Let's find the anomaly, grab the data, and get back inside. The anomaly? Elsa felt a shiver crawl down her spine. It wasn't just the sudden data chaos or the eerie stillness that unnerved her. It was the sense that something sentient, something vast and incomprehensible was watching them. No one had explained what the anomaly was, only that it had triggered every sensor in the station's array before plunging them into chaos. Readings had spiked, then flatlined. Lights flickered, and power surged, but nothing had physically changed. Except, of course, for the whispers. We're not alone. The voice cut through her thoughts like a blade. What? Elsa froze, her gloved hand hovering over her holstered plasma cutter. Who said that? Said what? Idris sounded irritated now. Stay focused, Crane. You're imagining things. But she wasn't imagining it. She was sure of that. The voice had been clear, deliberate, and chillingly close. Elsa's eyes darted to the perimeter. The trees swayed unnaturally, their lights dimming and flaring as if responding to some unseen force. She took a cautious step forward, her boots crunching against the gravel-like soil. Crane, report! Idris barked. The trees, she began, her voice trailing off. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but something was wrong. Their glow wasn't just irregular, it was rhythmic, pulsing, almost like a heartbeat. Elsa turned back towards the station, its angular silhouette barely visible through the fog. It loomed like a fortress, its metal walls scorched from decades of corrosive winds. The sight should have been reassuring, a beacon of safety in a hostile world. But now it only deepened her unease. The windows were dark, as if the station itself were holding its breath. And then she saw it, a figure standing just outside the perimeter fence. Captain, Elsa whispered. Her voice trembled and she cursed herself for it. There's someone out here. Impossible. Everyone's accounted for inside. I'm looking right at them, Elsa hissed. She activated her visor's zoom function, but the figure remained indistinct, shrouded in the fog. It didn't move, didn't react. It simply stood there, watching. Idris's voice crackled again. Return to the station immediately. That's an order. Elsa hesitated. The figure was too close to ignore, too real to dismiss. Against every instinct screaming at her to leave, she took a step toward it. Then another. The glow from the trees dimmed, as if recoiling from her approach. Crane, don't... Idris's voice cut off abruptly, replaced by a burst of static. Elsa froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She scanned the fog, her mind racing with fragmented thoughts. What if this wasn't a glitch? What if something was intentionally silencing him? The oppressive silence that followed seemed to press against her, amplifying the distant rhythmic hum of the anomaly. The air grew heavier, pressing against her suit like a vice. Her breath came in shallow gasps as she reached the fence. The figure was clearer now, but not enough to identify. Its outline wavered, as though it were both there and not there. A flickering mirage. Who are you? Elsa demanded. Her hand hovered over her plasma cutter, ready to draw. The figure tilted its head, a slow, deliberate motion. And then it spoke, not aloud but directly into her mind. "You shouldn't have come here." Elsa stumbled back, her vision swimming. The voice was everywhere, surrounding her, filling her helmet with an unbearable pressure. It wasn't just a sound, it was a presence, ancient and vast and cold. "Craine!" Idris's voice finally broke through the static. "Get back to the station, now!" She turned and ran, her boots slipping on the loose ground. The perimeter lights flickered, casting erratic shadows that seemed to reach for her. Behind her, the figure remained still, but she could feel its gaze burning into her back. The station doors loomed ahead, a massive bulkhead designed to withstand the harshest conditions. Elsa slammed her hand against the control panel, and the doors groaned open. She stumbled inside, collapsing onto the metal floor as the airlock sealed shut behind her. Idris was waiting, his face grim. What the hell happened out there? "There was someone," Elsa panted. "Or something. I don't know. It spoke to me." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Spoke? What did it say?" "That we shouldn't be here." A heavy silence filled the room. Idris glanced at the monitor behind him, where the telemetry data continued to glitch. Lines of static scrawled across the screen like frantic scribbles. And then, without warning, the display cleared. The anomaly had moved. "That's impossible," Idris muttered. "It's right on top of us." As if on cue, the lights flickered. The temperature dropped, frost creeping across the walls. Elsa's breath fogged inside her helmet, and she fought the urge to panic. "Containment protocol," Idris ordered, but his voice lacked conviction. They both knew it wouldn't matter. Whatever this was, it was already inside. The whispers began again, faint and indistinct. Elsa clutched her helmet, trying to block them out, but they only grew louder. Words blurred into a cacophony, each one dripping with malice and despair. She realized with dawning horror that they weren't speaking to her. They were speaking through her. "Captain," she choked out, "it's in my head." Idris reached for her, but before he could, the room plunged into darkness. The whispers became a roar, a tidal wave of sound that swept over them, drowning out thought and reason. And then, silence. When the lights flickered back on, Idris was gone. The room was empty except for Elsa, who knelt trembling on the floor. Her helmet visor reflected her face, pale and gaunt, but it wasn't her own eyes staring back. "You shouldn't have come here," the voice repeated, and this time Elsa understood. She wasn't leaving. The realization settled like a weight on her chest, a cruel inevitability that squeezed out every flicker of hope. Her hands trembled, her body frozen as she gazed at her reflection, or what was left of it. Something alien and ancient stared back, its malevolence threading through her thoughts, unraveling the last vestiges of her will. The Elsa she had been was already gone.